Hello, religion thinkers. Today we'll talk about J.R.R. Tolkien's view of myth and how it may have been instrumental in the success of his novels, The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien is said to have played a role in the conversion of his Oxford friend c.s.Lewis back to Christianity. Lewis, having a conversation with Tolkien about myth at one point, objected that myths were lies breathed through silver. Tolkien disagreed, claiming, just as speech is invention about objects and ideas, so myth is invention about truth. We have come from God, and inevitably the myths woven by us, though they contain error, will also reflect a splintered fragment of the true light, the eternal truth that is with God. Humphrey Carpenter's book, where you'll find that quote, is, by the way, still an excellent review of Tolkien's life. What does Tolkien's view of myth say? It is clearly more liberal and less literal of the views. It says that myths are meaningful because they tell us about ourselves and our ultimate reality. They don't tell it to us in scientific, empirical ways, but through good story, which tells us that our lives matter. How does Tolkien comment on the Adam and Eve story? Let's take a look at that next. While many Christians might not be fond of it, perhaps because it does not square with the facts of evolution, Tolkien championed the story of the Garden of Eden. Tolkien wrote, "I do not now feel either ashamed or dubious on the Eden myth. It is not, of course, historicity of the same kind as the New Testament. While Genesis is separated by we do not know how many sad exile generations from the fall, our whole nature, at its best and least corrupted, its gentlest and most humane, is still soaked with the sense of exile." What does this tell us? In the first quote, that myths are not literal. In the second quote, that we are sinful, feeling in exile, and long to get back to a more perfect world. Perhaps a world not wholly unlike Tolkien's Middle-earth. Knowing the power of myth and good story, Tolkien was able to weave this into his books. There is much more to know about Tolkien, but this gives you a brief sense of him that is connected to religion. Myths matter, even if not literally true, because they tell us something about ourselves and the world we live in.